sorry, it's going to be no alt solvency, then go down K in order, then case.
So alt on top.
Alt on top.
Then the rest of the K.
Yes, correct. All right. Everyone ready? Everyone's ready? Okay. First, no, alt doesn't solve one judge intervention is inherent that one moral or ethics will include the response to the K and the problems are and the problems. And this is the app can predict judge bias. B is the limits understanding the paradigm of the judge is advocating for someone. Wait, sorry. Okay, can you fix that? Okay. So we will not know what the first response until the judge assigned the ballot to. The two is a decreased topic-specific education, and that they have access to non-unique linked story, and overwhelms the content of the debate. 3 is no solvency without that discussion under a policy framework. We must derive solvency from an individual response to a case. This response is variable in every context, and as long as you have the notion of different political ideologies, the way under this is that the next time you run this topic, the response will the critical will be the same as the last time. This is going to decrease education. This is going to be a priori impact of 400. This is no longer policy action came from a judge advocacy for the political alternative. 5 is the alternative doesn't solve movements get co-opted. We can see that the alt is a micro level movement. The impacts for this is a call for micro level macro level changes, that the links hinge on the shift in ideology of the individual. This means that we're not going to have any solvency. But the 5 of us talking about this, even if we become future policymakers, there's going to be a lot of things that happen in between, and we're not going to have any solvency. Just us having a discourse about this is not going to shape reality. The 6 is the turn. All creates a hollow hope for long-term solvency within the movement, and the judge voting for the all creates a false notion of success where people believe that less work needs to be done in order to put the movement in. This means that the scheme dies down for the movement. This is going to tie into our arguments next. Okay. All right. First, policy principle theology. We're actually doing something about this policy. There's no reason why we can't do this policy. And we're doing something about this policy. At least we're having a positive effect. Like the real effect that they're having. We reject capitalism is minimal compared to this. Also, our framework comes first. All the things I said about this. Things like capitalism is important, but capitalism is inevitable. Capitalism is going to have a negative impact. Since the John type economic communist regimes pass the capitalist platform, it's still dominated. The ideologies is going to be terminal defects on their entirety. Their K also human greed is inevitable, and human self-interest is inevitable. This has always happened throughout history. There is no alternative for this. Also, talk about methodology leading to solvency. Methodology is just like a hollow hope. Talking about methodology is not going to have any real world effects. Solvency is based on the real world effects and the thoughts about policy and how we effectively change the world. They say policy making is important, but we're not likelihood that we're going to become future policymakers is minimal, and it's really unlikely. They talk about how this is an impact on the entirety of the framework, an impact on this, so we're going to create options off this. Also, minorities in the U.S. capitalism system still have access to forums. Like you can see this in the NCAAP and a variety of other more minority forums. They have been able to affect the substantive change in the legislation. They talk about how the methodology is a DA, and talk about what I said about how the methodology being like a hollow hope. Also, they say capitalism is internally to all racism. Communist ideology was no better. They serviced tons of racism and sexism. It was much worse than communist ideology. Capitalism is the best. It's the best system we have. You can see this in the case of Sweden. Sweden's still a capitalist society. Norway's still a capitalist society. They have the lowest racism. Capitalism is the best. Also,
capitalism doesn't have to be the best. It just has to be the best of the other alternative.
Yeah, capitalism just has to be the best for the other alternative. So now move on to their K copper. First, at least we're actually doing something where we're actually having a real policy with that fact. In fact, they just have some sort of illusory effect on the rest on the future. Also, they're talking about philosophy. The K philosophies are not real world. Talking about capitalism is just a general notion. We can't actually talk about the real world effects. Also, this indicts that their policy is actually good. Yeah, okay, the K impacts are inevitable. Also, we don't look hard enough to the capitalist. We don't look hard enough to the capitalist system in order to trigger the impacts. We're actually trying to decrease the capitalist system by decreasing racism. This is going to be enough to trigger the positive impacts and to garner and to kill their impacts. Also, they say we ignore racism. No, we're talking about racism. We're actually hitting racism, even if we don't eliminate racism entirely. We're at the very least we're decreasing it. Yeah.
And we're creating a system. The purpose of government is to check capitalism.
Yeah, the purpose of the system of government, especially in like a social safety net system and a social welfare system, is to check this. Also, they could talk about class interaction. Class interaction didn't happen more in our system because we're actually going to have a greater integration of the military. They say this is not going to be enough to check capitalism. That's completely untrue. We're at least at the very least we're decreasing this capital interaction. They say that mass class. No, we're specifically talking about class. We mentioned class and how we're actually going to decrease class. They may say that in the next piece that this is not enough to actually trigger class altogether or rethinking of class altogether. They can't get those impacts. That has never happened in the past. They've never actually been able to illuminate class under the communist, even under Marxist systems. There were still class differentiations with Stalin at the top and the workers at the bottom. They talk about the impacts. First, terminal even social safety net checks. It talks about what I said about how Sweden is awesome. They have the social safety net is going to be the best system because people can still make money off of capital. They still make money off capital and have the positive benefits having the negatives of decreased productivity. Also going to recap good. First off, capitalism is a key to democracy. Like you can see this in the case of communism, in the case of other systems. There was increased genocide, decreased democracy. Democracy is internal to decreased racism, and all the impacts they talk about. This turn is going to function as garnering all their impacts next. The next turn is that it's going to increase. We're going to increase human rights via capitalism. Yeah, I mean, just see that we're increasing human rights over a capitalist system. Also, we're creating better class structure. We're going to decrease quality. There was a huge amount of inequality in the communist system, despite the fact that they said there was inequality. Again, Stalin was at the top, Mao was at the top, they had tons of stuff at the bottom. Also, capitalism increases productivity. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Let me just go real quick. Okay, also, all doesn't solve cross-cutting things. I said all word over word down to the terms. First term, do both. You think there's no reason why you can't do this, and then can't do the plan, and then to talk about, you can't do the plan while actually decreasing capitalism, and then having to talk about capitalism next. Is perm do the plan while not committed parts and counterplan. You can still get the positive advantages of capitalism while having the real world effects of the plan. The next argument is perm do the plan while not committed, perm do the plan, and K and all says you get the benefits of the K. There's no reason why the plan's positive effects are going to derail into this capitalist ideology, this capitalist system. This is not severance because we're still including the entirety of our case advocacy. And go to case. Okay, first framework possible. I think we said about the framework. We're winning this. Also, they say that the DoD looks at capitalism. Absolutely doesn't look at, it doesn't look hard at capitalism. Not going to trigger the impacts. The DoD is promoting human rights and democracy via our interventions in Libya and all these other circumstances. Go to the first event. They talk about social mobility. Not enough. We're increasing social mobility. Possibilities about how we said how social mobility is going to be increased. Yes, are talking about class. Both our real world discourse and are talking about the effects of class. And go to the impacts. They have no offense on the impacts and the transfer impacts. So going to be the real world impacts. We're increased quality of life, and it's going to be self-sustaining. This is going to be huge, and then that can go to advantage to the only thing they have in turn. This is a really weak turn. This is actually not actually turn. This is just defensive. Possibly we said about half good. The war PowerPoints are actually going to give us the internal link to talking to actually have an effect on democracy. Also, we're not going to have we're talking about PowerPoints. We're going to actually have a real world effect by talking about class relations and actually implementing policy of class relations. I don't see what they're doing. Sorry, just go to advantage 3. We did put out impact. They don't have any. They have only a defense. Yeah.
Well, and we're increasing the mindset at what we said in our solvency. We're increasing the mindset at the young age.
Yeah, we're increasing our solvency at a young age, which means we're going to actually have a real effect, and the PowerPoints are not going to be necessary. They're just going to be a small effect. We still have access to our impacts. This turn is minimal. Advantage 3, we do have impacts. They only have defense. We have real-world policy effects. We've turned their K. We have tons of offense. They have minimal offense. Anything else?
No, I mean.
I'm just going to go to the.
We blocked the purpose of the K in.
We block the purpose of the K and go to advantage 2 again. We have high probability impacts. The extinction is going to happen through arms control. High probability. High mag.
Okay. Oh yeah.
You said you turned the K. How?
Let me see. 1, cap good. 2, yeah, we have a ton of arguments on cap good. Also, we have terminal defense in the K.
Well, and he said all those.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, alt doesn't solve, and we have terms in the alt doesn't solve.
All right. What necessarily does the alt do that's bad?
The biggest one is just that you're calling for a macro change of the fundamental way that we deal with capitalism and that structure. But you're asking for a micro level action that's supposed to trigger that by just convincing him that he needs to change his opinion. So your alt doesn't solve because it's not going to be effective in the real world.
All right. How would you say that capitalism increases human rights?
Well, capital. First of all,
when we occupy countries for oil,
sure.
like that.
Okay, in the current capitalist system, the capitalist countries are at least going to have the productivity to enable increasing human rights. Like you see Libya.
Wait, so they just have.
No, they do. Libya, Egypt are examples of us increasing human rights. Sweden has increased human rights because they have social safety net.
Okay.
Better than communism.
Okay, the order is framework,